Every now and then, a little hidden gem on Netflix comes along and catches you completely off guard. This is especially true when it comes to Netflix's animated department. For some reason, they seem to have adopted the Apple TV Plus method of either producing really great content or really poor content. There's not much in the way of anything in between. Thankfully, Jentry Chau vs. the Underworld is very much the former. The story is simple enough and revolves around a teenager called Jentry Chau. Not only is she going through puberty, she's also dealing with spiritual powers too. All of this escalates when Jentry's Gugu, her chirpy great-grandmother, whisks our girl off from her settled home in Seoul to the other side of the world in Texas. You see, Jentry needs to harness her powers because there's a Mogwai hunting her. This comes in the form of a monstrous haunting spirit called Mr. Cheng. After 16 years, he's back to fulfill a deal made by Jentry's family. He's here for her soul. With the battle lines drawn, Jentry tries to come to terms with her newfound powers, trying to prevent certain death, all while navigating the difficult pitfalls of starting school again in a strange new world. If that wasn't bad enough, it seems like Gugu is keeping secrets from her, while her parents too have a dark secret waiting to be uncovered. While Jentry goes on the hunt for answers across the 13 episodes, there's also issues at school too. Between a very on-again, off-again relationship with new friend Stella, there's romantic implications between Jentry and Stella's boyfriend Michael. Michael and Jentry actually have history together, which makes this all the more dramatic. While a charming kid called Kit also enters the fray too. Alongside all of this bubbling drama and teen angst is a well-worked comedic Jiangxi coming in the form of Ed. This undead demon does his best to try and make the others afraid of him, and he has his own little arc where he starts to grow a social media following. It's all pretty amusing stuff, but he does have some sentimental moments too, so he's not a complete buffoon just for the sake of it. The show has a wicked crackling wit and visual style, and the aesthetic pops with a mix of pastel colours and more imaginative styles, depending on where Jentry ends up. For example, in the DU realm, there are way more neon and high contrast colours depicted compared to the real world. Meanwhile, the scenes in the Underworld are shot in black and white, with tiny pockets of glowing blue or red for added effect. These are small touches, but they work extremely well to give this a unique aesthetic. This uniqueness also extends out to the music and sound too, which is excellent across the board. While not every song is an instant hit, there are a ton of musical montages here, usually depicting some big dramatic spike in action or significant moment in Jentry's story. There's a really excellent one midway through the show where Jentry discovers the extent of her powers, and this whole segment is so well constructed. The action on the whole is pretty good, and there's a nice pacing to a lot of the episodes, as there's usually a dollop of action in every chapter. While the show follows a serialized storyline, it also throws in some episodic content too. Some of these do feel a bit redundant or slow to be fair, but those episodes usually end with a big twist or a nice reveal that will entice you to carry on watching to find out what happens next. The show excels with its depiction of Chinese mythology, and seeing a lot of the legends brought to life, like Jiangxi, Yao Guao or Nine-Tailed Fox, actually add a bit of an educational element to the series, which is quite surprising. A lot of this is delivered smoothly through bites of exposition, as Jentry looks over a book depicting these different myths and legends. Where the show is less endearing, however, is the way it tries to mix this in with text and history. Compared to the rich pool of Asian myths and legends to draw from, Texas has, well, the Alamo and cowboys. While these do work quite well within the context of the story, they're almost always a weaker episode and pale compared to the rich history of Chinese myths. The story is also a bit tropey at times too, with love triangles, teen angst, misunderstandings and the usual pitfalls you'd expect from a drama like this. It's not a complete deal breaker though, because where Jentry Chau slips up with these moments, it more than makes up for with its ability to pull the trigger and kill off major characters. This is something more shows should be willing to do if the story calls for it, and it works surprisingly well in Jentry Chau vs. the Underworld, just to ratchet up some of that tension. When the show draws nearer to the end and we see all manner of drama, including demon attacks on a school and a last gasp fight between Jentry and Mogwai, it makes everything that much more tense because you genuinely don't know who's going to walk away from this one and who is going to fall by the wayside. Jentry Chau vs. the Underworld is an absolute delight, and despite a few dud episodes and a couple of overdone tropes, propels itself into the running for one of the best TV shows of the year. Funny, sharp and incredibly Moorish, Jentry Chau is an absolute must watch. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.